The Student Doctor Network, Name and Shame, 2019-2020 cycle, full roasting letter, A to Z. What's up, you guys? Rex here. So I'm recording this video either right after potentially some of you finished your application cycle or right when some of you are starting your application cycle. Either way, we are going to take a moment and relax and laugh at some of the just absurd things that go on in the medical school application cycle. There is so much expectations about students like being perfect, checking all the boxes, and you would think medical schools are able to live up to that standard themselves. And they really try their best to, and I'm sure they do most of the time, but every now and then they fall short. Medical schools, they're humans too. The admissions committee, people doing interviews, they're all humans and they really do fall short. And so that's just part of the process. And you got to take it with a grain of salt, take it on the chin, keep rolling. And that's just part of it. So if you just finished your application cycle, sit back, relax, and laugh at it. If you're about to start the application process, try not to take it too seriously. Understand that there is going to be unfairness. That's just part of the game. It's unfortunate, but you gotta not let that get you down. And so let's laugh at some of the most ridiculous things that happened from my application cycle and see what the Student Doctor Network has to say about it. So love the person that made this thread. So with the cycle dying down and the sun dialing up, it's time to pull out your chair, uncork the glass, pour some wine. The full roasting letter A to Z begins as we reflect and shun all the horse crap and buffoonery these schools and adcoms have inflicted on all our kings and queens. So this guy made this thread on what already sometimes is a really great website and sometimes is a website that just breeds toxicity. He has thrown it all out there. Let's just laugh at the toxicity that happens with the medical school application cycle. This is part of it. This is not me saying it, this is other people, and I'm just reacting to it. So let's sip the tea like Kermit and see what we have to say. My interviewer at Case Western told me the research I do is unethical. Our IRB disagrees with you, but go off. I'm sure that was a fun interview from there. How do you even respond to that as an applicant? Just say like, yes, thank you for your opinion. Do you agree with them? Say no, defend your research. No winning there. You're going to have interviewers that make comments that you just have to take and agree with and hard to respond to. My Johns Hopkins interviewer implied that I was not only not qualified for Hopkins, but I should really think about not even becoming a physician because I don't really understand what it takes because I don't have physician parents. So that's just ridiculous. There are so many people who don't have physician parents. That has nothing to do with anything. No idea why an interviewer thought that would be appropriate to bring up. This person, Mayo. Now, since this happened a little bit ago, you might not know, but back in my application cycle, this was for people applying for the 2020 start of medical school. Mayo accidentally sent out acceptance letters to like everybody who interviewed and then had to retract them like a day later. And it was just such an embarrassing mess. I have no idea how that remotely happened, but yes, Mayo a million times, 108 users agree with that. My interviewer showed up in shorts and flip-flops, coughed the entire duration of the interview, and then replied, "Thank God," when I said I didn't have any more questions. That was in the fall, so prob not corona. So yeah, if interviewers had to live up to the standards of medical students, it would be a different world. We are wearing very nice suits that we're probably spending way more than we should on, and they're showing up shorts and flip-flops. What can you do? Not really a shame because I love the school and my interviewer, but at Einstein, my interviewer was an older doc. He pulled up my app and saw that I took a class at community college and proceeded to ask me why I did that, implying that community college was a red flag. It was an international film class I took while in high school to fill an art requirement. So on your AMCAS application, it's very clear if you took a class during high school, people who are interviewing, they don't always even understand the process. So they're gonna make really confusing comments and just have no idea what's going on. The person who is interviewing this person has no clue how to read an AMCAS application report for all of your courses. One of my UCSF interviewers took 4 calls during our 40-minute interview. I was like, do you need to go? Yeah. Taking calls during an interview. Imagine if an applicant was like, oh, excuse me, let me answer this phone call. Not once, not twice, 4 times during an interview. That must have been so stressful for that applicant. I'm really sorry that ever happened, but stuff like that happens. One of my interviewers at a top 10 program spent the entire interview criticizing my application. I mean, ripped me a new one. The significant activities I chose, the reason I was applying to the program, my background, how unorganized my application was, told me that I was better off at Henry Ford in Detroit after reading my personal statement. then brought up how my stats are too good for Henry Ford. Finished by asking me if I had ever been accepted anywhere. This was the only school that did this. I smiled, shook hands, and walked off. I sent her an email thanking her for reviewing my application. So yeah, interviewers are nowhere near this bad. 99% of the time, they're going to be great. Don't let that stress you out, but man, there are some people who are not great interviewers that are allowed to interview medical students, and that's just, unfortunately, part of the crapshoot that is a little bit of the application process. An interviewer at a humid school in Texas completely mixed up my application with another applicant's, and it threw him off. His first question was asking about my experience in massage therapy and Eastern medicine. I have no experience in either of those subjects. Literally ended up being a 5-minute interview because he was so flustered. I still ended up getting accepted. So yeah, things work out. You got that acceptance, that's what matters. This person responding. They realized that you had better emotional stability than someone that conducts interviews, so they had to accept you. Retweet to that. Had a 45 interview with a doc at IU. One of the questions he asked was what I felt was wrong with American healthcare. Gave my usual, careful, prepared, ethical, and thoughtful response, to which he responded with a 20-minute tirade on why fat people are to blame. Big yikes. Not a good look for doctors anywhere, not a good look for interviewers. But yeah, be ready. Sometimes interviewers, they just want to get on their soapbox and they want to talk more than they want to actually ask you questions and get to know you. One of my interviewers asked me which residency program I was interviewing for. Oh boy. My interviewer at Downstate was sick and obviously didn't want to be there. He literally told me he was sick and I was his only interview for the day. He had a list of questions to ask and kept saying, we can skip this one. Then when I was actually allowed to answer a question, he would cut me off about 30 seconds after I started talking. He then proceeded to roast me for getting a B in a physics class. At the end of the interview, he told me I could ask him one question. The interview took a total of 25-30 minutes, whereas everyone else's that day took close to an hour. Needless to say, I wasn't too surprised when I got the R. Unfortunately, every now and then, like 1% of people or less will get just a really unlucky interviewer, and that is something that really sucks about the application system, but it's part of the process, and that's the way it is. Sometimes just gotta laugh at it. Also, what's up with all these cold cuts? Like, I've had so many cold cuts this season that I'm done with chicken and ham cold cuts forever. Y'all can't get some Chinese food or pizza? Like, damn. Hey, while I'm here, shout out to Upstate for the Italian and Wake Forest for the Chick-fil-A. Y'all were dope. Yes, any school that is listening to this, if you want to triple the amount of people that actually attend your school once they get an acceptance, have better food on your interview day. You have no idea how much I was biased by what I was given as my free lunch for every interview day. I think with my stomach. I am not that sophisticated, even if I am trying to pretend I am and trying to be a doctor. I think with my stomach. Granted, maybe they're trying to avoid people like me. Who knows? This guy responding to that. Creighton had enchiladas, and I had to restrain myself from going up for more. They were so damn good, but I didn't want to be that guy more interested in the food than the school. Well, good thing Creighton rejected me before an interview, because I would 100% shamelessly have been getting thirds on some enchiladas. This is my people. I think that's why I got waitlisted. Went back for thirds. It's a sin to be hungry. Dang, I could really go for some enchiladas now. But that's just a little taste of some of the ridiculous that occurred in my application cycle. If you have any crazy stories you want to share in the comments below, I'd love to hear them. Let's just, laugh at it. Don't take it too seriously. Don't be toxic. Don't hate on schools because they had one bad egg in their interview process. Hopefully schools take feedback into account and can improve their admissions process and make sure that they are finding people who act appropriately in their interviews, because they have that obligation, in my opinion, to be at least as good as they are calling us applicants to be. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or you want me to make a part 2 to this video, let me know in the comments down below. As always, like it if you like the video, dislike the video if you dislike the video, and until next time, don't be ordinary, go be great.